Welcome, everyone. I'm pleased to announce our next talk by Klevu, where we have Amy Marks and Ian Scarr, who are talking about site search and beyond. Search is an integral part of e-commerce, and more and more we're seeing users dependent on this. Thanks to modern algorithms and technology, this is becoming more and more an essential in the customer journey. A bit of information on Amy. Amy's joined Klevu in 2018 and has grown the partnership and marketing activities in EMEA and the marketing activities across the board. She's got a wealth of experience, 6 years in e-commerce, with a focus on data-driven marketing, strategies and communication in B2B. Amy's collaboration and creative approach extends out of work, where she volunteers and assists in the marketing of conflict resolution and anti-trafficking charity. Really good work there, Amy. Really pleased to hear that when I spoke to you a few days ago. Ian joined Klevu in 2019 and has 20 years experience within the e-commerce industry. We can tell that, Ian. Having worked with many brands to improve their email and website architecture. And for the last 7 years, he specifically worked around search and product discovery. He's an enthusiastic and engaging with audiences, and he's led by an exampled approach, has generated successful track record of developing sales growth within all major sectors of his career. I'll hand you over now to Amy and Ian. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Great.
Cool. So I'll bring the first slide up. So here we've got the topic today, to site search and beyond. We'll be exploring 10 Magento brands that are using Klevu, and they're getting it right from an on-site search perspective. First of all, a bit of introduction, Ian.
So Yannick, great introduction. Thank you very much. Been in the industry for a long time. You can tell by my beard that it's been kind to me over the years, but I've got some extra sort of interests outside of work as well. I help run a music festival, and I'm also a board member of a championship rugby side. So a bit like Amy, lots of stuff to keep us out of trouble when we're not working with a Klevu and within e-commerce.
Great. Thanks, Yannick, as well for the introduction. From my side of things, focusing on marketing activity in EMEA, I've been looking at growing the partnership and partner marketing activity specifically. So it's really, really welcome to be here with the community. And please reach out to me after this if you'd like to connect or chat anything marketing related. I've got my LinkedIn there. And then another thing on the side as well, like we've partnered with Meet Magento and Mind charity to try and raise some extra funds for Meet Magento. So there's a link there if you'd like to see some art I've created just as a little extra thing I did on a bank holiday to try and raise some more money for the charity. So first of all, a little bit about us. If you haven't heard of us already, we're a leading on-site search provider across the globe. We've got offices all over, from Helsinki to Sweden, Stockholm, London, Atlanta and India. Obviously, we've all come together a lot closer recently because of this whole lockdown situation. So as a team, we're getting closer digitally, which has been great. We have 3,000 sites worldwide. And I guess our core differentiator between the other on-site search third parties is that we have built-in AI and NLP that you don't have to build yourself. And here we really use that to drive conversions for the retailers and those high intent buyers that come on the site. So that's sort of how we define ourselves and differentiate ourselves as an on-site search provider in the market. We plug and play with Magento. We've had a great relationship for years. I think it was one of our first integrations. And we have over 400 Magento clients that use and trust us. So again, using the Magento platforms from M1, M2, even up to some commerce clouds we're seeing in now, that still would like to use the Klevu search plugin. to drive conversions down there. And then from our side as well, we've got a great partnership team. We've got Claudia Dietrich, Matthias Schlitter and Ford Crane. They do a fantastic job in growing our partnerships across the world. So please do reach out to us after this talk if you think there's anything relevant in terms of any activity you'd like to do or to build a partnership from that side of things. But first, before we do dive in with those 10 brands that are smashing it, we'd love you to get your phone out and to pick your favorite brand that you have. Maybe it's a clothing brand or an art brand, maybe it's a sports brand, whatever. And I'd love you to go onto their website on your mobile and hit the search bar and just observe what happens, see what happens as you start searching for something, and see how that search is interacting and reacting to the way you type and what it looks like. Just make a note of that. And if you can see it, it'd be great to have some feedback in the chat box. So during this, if you dump there your brand and whether your observations around that, that'd be fantastic. So let's begin. Product discovery is the most important part of your website. Get it wrong, and you will be engaging with your customers. It's one of my favorite films. I think I nicked this from Mairead, one of our customer success managers. So really here, what we're looking at is search not being just an add-on or a thing you should do when you're building out your website. It's not just a nice to have, it's actually very necessary in terms of engaging with your customers and helping them find what they're looking for. It's your way of talking to them as soon as they hit the site. And here's some of the brands that we'll be exploring today. So we've got Cox Cox on M2, I believe, Paper Chase, Me&M, Lime Sharp, just put that in. We'll be talking about them from a headless side of things. Puma, Richer Sounds, Missy Empire, and Anil's, Granson, Corny and Barra, a few other hopefully names you recognise there. And from there, I'll hand it to Ian.
Okay, thank you very much, Amy. Great introduction. So Amy talked about product discovery and how it's the most important thing to engage with your customers. Get that wrong and they've gone to your competitors. But what really drives the intelligence behind having a good product discovery experience is really the machine learning. So in other words, it's predicting what your customers are wanting to buy by engaging with them from the very, very first keystroke. So as soon as you activate your search, you're already greeted with products that you've recently browsed or they're trending, and they're all powered by the artificial intelligence that sits behind the platform. What we're trying to do at Klevu is actually trying to predict what the customer wants to buy before they even know they want to buy it. So when it's starting to engage with you in that personalized environment from that very, very first keystroke. If it's your first time on the website, then it's going to be the trending products, what customers are searching for of your site, and then returning those. And it's using the click-through data and the conversion data to make sure that your products are being ranked most appropriately for that particular query. But the more you interact with it, the more it's going to personalize with you as you come back to the site or as you interact with the site as you go through your browsing experience. But by leveraging that personalization, customers that return to the site are then going to have that personalized experience so that it remembers who you are and it will start to bring forward products that are relevant to you. So what I'm going to do in this section of the presentation is just take you through a number of brands that are using a really nice overlay and have got the products returned to you based upon the query that you go through. So bear with me. Let's see if this is going to work nicely. So what we have here, so it's Paper Chase. This weekend, if you haven't forgotten, you've still got some time. It's Father's Day. I'm a father of two, so hopefully my kids are going to get some cool stuff. Hope Yannick's going to get some cool stuff from his kids as well. But by typing Father's Day into the search box here, what you can see here is that the suggestions coming forward are intelligently bringing forward either the category, so the search suggestions of different types of Father's Day interactions, but also it's bringing through the most popular products in the product area at the bottom of that overlay. And this is really important because it's taking you to the most relevant products according to your query straight away. And that's super important because that means you're going to click through, you're going to carry on your journey, and then hopefully you're going to go through to the purchase. Moving on to the next site, so quite appropriate. Obviously that the Premier League football is again starting today. So I married into a Liverpool family, but an Evertonian. So for me to present this slide is a little bit sort of jarring because they might beat Everton at the weekend and win the league, but then it might keep them quiet for a little while. But anyway, Liverpool, great club, super club, a great Magento implementation. And as you can see from the search box that drops down here, by typing in home shirts, you can see initially popular searches pop up, but then as you start to type and engage with the different characters, you've got great suggestions and categories on the left-hand side, and then the most relevant products within the main area. And this is really important because, again, by the time you've got to the end of the query, you've got those exact products that you're going to be looking for from a popularity perspective. So really nice implementation of that overlay and a great start for the product discovery experience for people on that particular site. Keeping the sports going, I said I was on the board of a championship club, and O'Neill's is one of our Klevu customers, and Amstel is my side, so I had to naturally use that as a query. On here, as I start to type in the AMPTH of Amstel, you can see that the products are starting to dynamically change, and the category on the right-hand side is taking you directly to that particular link for the site to get you engaged with that particular brand of the rugby club. So really, really important. And those products there that are represented in the middle are the most popular products that people are buying from the club at the particular time, and for people around the world so they can buy their merchandise. Keeping on the sport theme, relatively new implementations for us as Puma are rolling out on Magento on a global basis. So these are all their emerging country sites. So here we've got Puma South Africa, and you can see a nice simple representation of typing in men's football. You can see that the search overlay will dynamically change according to the popular products that are coming to inspire you to click through once you've completed that particular query. So again, a lovely implementation, nice and simple, but it's bringing the nice product representation and visualization of those products through on that returned environment. And then the last slide of this particular section. So it has been sunny, and it was sunny when I put this presentation together last week. Hopefully the storms will hold off today. You type in sun hat, and it returns a lovely little simple representation of the search suggestions at the top, so the different types of sun hats, the category of sun hats, and then the most popular products at the bottom. So again, a really nice way of starting your product discovery on those Magento sites.
Yeah, lovely. So yeah, Ian's talked here on the sort of ordering, I guess, and that kind of like why we see what we're seeing side of things, which is the intelligent AI. And now I'm going to speak a little bit on the natural language processing. So, you know, in terms of like how, when we actually put in the data, what data we're putting in and how is Klevu dealing with it. So natural language processing is all about understanding the intent of a query. Interesting stat here is that up to 15 to 20% of site usage comes from on-site search, but it accounts for 40 to 50% of the revenue. So it is all about understanding the relevancy and the intent of what people are trying to say. So think about spelling mistakes you might put in, or something that can't be found. Obviously leads to a poor user experience, one that's frustrating. So I'll show you some brands that are actually doing this really well. Made.com. So here they've put in, sorry, we can't really see that very well. It says chair under $200 or pounds. And what we're demonstrating here is a conversational long tail query. So here the search overlay is reacting to the intent of the shopper. And then it's bringing up suggestions which are likely to be based off of the rankings as well, of like that popular product with the AI coming into play there, and visually displaying what they would be looking for, along with some CMS content there as well. So by understanding that longer conversational term, it's giving you a more powerful user experience, and that's what we really like to pride ourselves on. So from a shopper's perspective, we can understand from an NLP what they mean, even if they use verbs and adjectives in different grammatical forms. So you could probably move that around and go 200, under chair, and it still kind of extrapolate the intent there. Think about like how we search now with Alexa and Siri. There's an expectation of your customers to have that same sort of seamless experience as well online. Another brilliant brand that I love is, sorry for the delay, Richer Sounds. Again, a longer tail query there, and what they're searching for has been delivered within the search. Any stop words there identifies and manages to go to the heart of the search. So it's like for, to, in, under, like that's kind of being picked up on there as well. And then another one is that they'll have like found variants of the words. So again, delivering a relevant product experience. And then finally, sorry, just switching back to the slide here, we've got Cox Cox. This is one of our brands that have activated voice search within the Google Chrome browser. So you'll see that little microphone there. Here, what's happening is they've held down on the search bar and search table for lamp. Again, with the NLP, it's brought up a choice of categories in the left-hand navigation related to those words. Again, probably we'll be working with the AI. We'll be working with the AI unless you put a merchandising rule against it, which we'll talk about a little bit later, to deliver what you're seeing. And yeah, again, a bit of CMS content related to the query.
There we go. Come off mute. Obviously, schoolboy error on a presentation, and clicked the button too many times, so it went forward too many slides. Well done, Ian. So automated catalog enrichment. So what does that do, and how does that work within a search environment? So normally, when you upload a list or your feed into a search solution, you would have had to go into the back end and start to put in synonyms and match up phrases and keywords that were contextually relevant to each other. What Klevu does is it does that automatically for you upon loading up of your data and your feed. And what it's doing is it's adding those relevant synonyms to your catalog in a metadata format. And what this is doing, it's enriching the data, and it can result in a 3 times improvement and depth of coverage of the search results. So what does that mean? It means that if you put something in that is in the next example for Missy Empire, here we go. Is it going to do it? Yeah, there we go. So I've put pants into the search box for Missy Empire, and what it's done is it's actually brought out all the trousers. Okay, so it automatically, without me having to put in a manual synonym into the solution, it's making those connections in the back end and then bringing forward the most relevant results for you. So it hasn't brought in underwear from a men's perspective. It's brought through ladies' trousers, which is really, really important because you're searching for pants. But if you do need to put in a synonym, then you can also do that in the back end as well. And this is really important for when you're looking for trends. So in this example with Grensons, Holly Willoughby was wearing some Nanette boots, and it was all over Instagram and on the TV. And people were searching on Grensons for Holly. Okay, and they picked this up in the reporting. So what they did is they then put in a redirect and a synonym to make sure that if people put in Holly, they're redirected to the Holly Willoughby pages, but also the Nanette boots. So what that's doing is actually matching those keywords together, making sure that you're connecting your shoppers with what they want to buy, and then hopefully converting. So that's really, really important from that perspective. So 2 very simple explanations there of how Klevu can do things on an automated basis and improve the relevancy of your results based on your data, but also what you can do from a manual backend perspective. Moving on to some content search as well. So really, really important here is that your average order value, and this is a key stat, so remember this one, can be up to 20% higher due to the relevant results and good personalization, recommendations, and content. So there's the link. Content search is a really important part of browser behavior. People want to be looking at other stuff, not just necessarily the product, particularly if you are maybe a builder's merchant, or if you are a food site, and maybe you want some recipe information, or you're looking for some blog information, or some customer service information. And this is really important when people are searching. It's not always just your products that people are looking for when they're engaging with your site. So in this instance here, you've got Donald Russell, which is a butcher's up in Scotland, a lovely, nice, clean overlay on a Magento. I'm searching because it's barbecue season, and I've just searched for the search term beef. Okay, and what this is doing is it's bringing through the product suggestions at the very, very top, but in the middle there, in the highlighted area, it's the pages. So it's bringing in a recipe for a lean beef burger, low temperature cooking, because obviously if you put something on a barbecue and you put it at high heat, it burns the outside, doesn't cook the middle. So cooking it all the way through, and the techniques around there. And then some information on dry aging, because obviously that's the rage as well with regards to the preparation of beef. So some really informative information in that area from Donald Russell. So lovely implementation there. Again, similarly with Corny and Barrow, I've just searched for Italian. I'm really into Italian red wines at the moment. So Primitivo is all the rage, certainly in my house. And a simple search for Italian here is brought through a lovely little representation of meet our Italian producers and the importance of putting Italian wine in context. So a diary of a trip to the producers down in Italy. So again, not just bringing through the products, so some great products below, but also some information around those particular products, which is really important. Building supplies online, I think it's a joint customer with JH. Search for bathroom, a great little representation here of the other content. You can see here that you've got the product tab, but then you've got the other content tab. And on that other content tab is all of their blog information, their how-to information, useful tips and tricks of what to select when you're choosing a bathroom, or the right sort of flooring ideas if you're renovating your bathroom. So again, really, really important when you are searching for particular things in this area. And then finally with me and Em, we talked about this. So strictly not a content search, but we wanted to highlight this because everyone's talking about headless, or has been talking about headless for the last 12 months. And this is a great implementation by our partners with LimeSharp, using a headless approach and our APIs to represent in the presentation layer a beautiful overlay, which is, takes up the full page. When you start to search for something like black dress, you can see the search results on the right-hand side will dynamically change and then bring forward the black dresses. So beautiful representation there, and kudos to LimeSharp for getting that up and running on Magento and in a headless environment. Keys that time, just before I hand over to Amy again, in the end of April and the end of May, search traffic in the UK was up by 60%. What that means is that search traffic on those final 2 days of April and May was almost identical to Black Friday. So that really follows in from what everybody else is talking about today, is the real increase in online behavior and online shopping in the e-commerce environment. And we've seen it too at Klevu.
Yeah, it's amazing. I still wonder why. Is that the first payday after during lockdown, or we'll still to try and work that one out. Yeah, so we've talked a lot already now about the sort of automated intelligent side of Klevu, but now I want to talk a little bit about the merchandising features that we can do. So obviously no one knows your business like yourself. Ian mentioned earlier the synonym relating to holly. You guys will obviously come across that on a day-to-day. You may have your own commercial reasons for promoting a product line over the other, which makes complete sense. And so there are some features on offer that you can explore. So we're going to look at query level merchandising and product level boosting. So query level merchandising allows you to promote your preferred products for a specific search term, and product level boosting allows you to promote a specific product across all the relevant terms here. So some examples of customers doing this we have Fraser Hart. So here I've typed in the word engagement ring, And you can see what happens here is that they're like being supported by the promotion. So in this instance, see the top 3 engagement rings there. It will be the case that Fraser Hart have put a specific boost of product on that specific product there, so that overrides the machine learning. So what really we're talking about here is combining both your commercial business logic with the AI and that's working in the background too, and the manual boosting of products just to make sure that the products you want to be there appears at the top when relevant, so that you can make sure that they're being seen. And then another example we've got here as well. Bear with me one second. That's just how it would appear on a mobile, actually. So here on the left, to the left-hand side of the search term engagement ring, I've just put in a mobile view. Again, here, like we mentioned, the importance of mobile before, more people searching. So like we want to have that clean interface and make sure that people can find out what they're looking for. Hanson, this is one of my favorite brands. They've used keyword level visual merchandising with the products. So as soon as you start typing, the products are kind of like being reordered and shuffled based on what you want them to see with that search term, and help you meet your sales goals from that perspective. And another interesting stat is that 52% of web traffic is mobile. So optimize for this, or potentially you could be losing customers. Now, for this side of things, I think, Yannick, this is where we might we're testing the technology. We'd love to do a Kahoots quiz. So we've prepared for everyone a quiz here so people can engage on that side of things. I think for that, I may need to screen share. Is that possible? Or
we've kind of possibly running a bit out of time on the share. So I think it would probably be better if we go on to questions, if that's okay, because I think we're close on to the time for questions. Are we on the code? Did you want to do the questions now, or do you want to go through more of your slides?
So that's it, I think. I've got one final slide left, I believe. Just some stats that we can send to you after this presentation. So searches are 3 to 5 times more likely to convert, up to 15 to 20% of site usage, and accounts for 40 to 50% of revenue. Another one I mentioned there is the 52% of web traffic is mobile, so optimize for this or lose customers. And in a recent survey, we found that 58% of attendees on one of our webinars are looking to upgrade their on-site search in the next 12 months to optimize conversions. So again, just that messaging of considering search as an integral part of your e-commerce strategy, not just a nice to have. And then, get in touch. We're here to help. I would love to hear from you.
Great. Thank you both. Some really great insights on the increase of user behavior. There's some lovely stats. I love seeing merchants being showcased. I think it's always easier for our audience to go and reference and take a look at. There has been a few questions that have come directly to me, so we'll see if we could get through some of these. And so the first one that's come through is how important is product discovery? I know, Ian, you spoke about some of that. Maybe it's something you want to elaborate on slightly.
I think the Julia Roberts video, which we used earlier on in the presentation, really summed it up. If you can imagine that you're going into a shop on the high street and you've got a shop assistant that's just not engaged with you. You ask them to show you in an electrical store, and you ask them to show you the latest 42-inch TVs, and they take you to something completely different, like headphones or something like that. It's just they're completely disinterested. They're playing with their phone, and they're not engaging with you in the right way. That's a poor shopping experience. What you want to do on a website is people are either searchers, and as we said earlier, it can be between 10 and 40% of people are searching, or the other element of that, so up to 60% of people are navigating. And what Klevu does is it can take care of the whole breadth of that product discovery experience. So in other words, if you're a searcher or if you are a navigator, we can provide the same technology to guide you through your purchase experience. So by having a really relevant and engaging product discovery experience is super important nowadays, because if you don't, people will leave your site and they'll go to your competitors, they'll go to Amazon, or they'll go to Google and they'll find the products elsewhere, because people come into your site have intent to buy. And if they've got intent to buy and they can't find it, they've gone. So product discovery, to answer in a very quick way, is super important. So don't mess it up.
Sure. I've got another question that's come through from Melanie. I'm currently working on migrating from Magento 1 to Magento 2. With it, we're looking at either keeping Klevu or replacing it with Elasticsearch. What are the pros of staying with Klevu, and what additional benefits does it bring? I think that's probably one that you guys regularly come across. Yeah, we do. That's a great question. So why lose all of that information that you've already collected within the Klevu database? If you go to Elastic, you're going to have to rebuild it yourself. All of that historical information, all that purchase data, everything that you've collected within Klevu will be lost. And you'd have to start from scratch. Also, within Elasticsearch, you've got to build your own queries. You've got to start to build in effectively the artificial intelligence within there. So there's a hell of a lot of work that you've got to do to actually get it up and running. So a migration from M1 to M2 with keeping Klevu is simply just downloading the Klevu plugin again. We can do some magic in the back end and we can switch you back on the new Magento instance. Really, really simple, and it's definitely worth the monthly subscription that you're paying.
Yeah. I think I'd like to come in there as well, that Elastic, Ian's mentioned, has been built, and obviously it was around before Klevu. Yet there will be an associated cost with having developers working on that product to making sure that it's working. So you might want to factor that into your budget. And then also in terms of the replatform itself, we just did a piece on looking at search and putting it in before replatforming, because if we think about the benefits of the conversion search drives, it could be actually that by staying with something that's intelligent, it will actually help towards some of the costs of your replatform. So I think that's something else to consider when you're like sort of doing your RP and weighing up the commercial advantages and disadvantages of switching, and also just in replatforming in general, that search is a conversion driver. It does make you more money on the site. So consider how that can help with the costs of your replatform.
I think we might have less than a minute for one more. What sort of conversion rate should I expect from on-site search?
You got that? I'll take that one. Okay. Recent case studies have shown that you can have anything between 10 to 30% increases in your conversion rates very, very quickly. You can have even more coming from just a platform search. So platform search, which is your simple indexer. Go to a smart intelligent search, you're going to see much, much higher conversion rates moving to something that's smart like Klevu. So every instance is different. Every area of e-commerce, and whether the different types of merchants can be different, but typically 10 to 30, 40% increases are seen across our merchants.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to wrap up there, Ian. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Ian. Very insightful. If anyone has any questions, please visit both of Amy and Ian at the expo, and our next talk will be by Klana, and that's going to take place at 11:35 on Beyond 2020. Thank you all for listening.
Thanks for having us. Really enjoyed being here. Bye.
Bye.